There's so much more to this man called Daniel than his victory in the lion's den. Number 1. Nebuchadnezzar marvels at his great wisdom. The event takes place in the royal court of Nebuchadnezzar in Babylon in the 3rd year of Jehoiakim's reign, after the king of Babylon had led an assault on Jerusalem. Nebuchadnezzar ordered several young Jewish men to be prepared to serve him as men of wisdom and knowledge. Among these were Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. They were known by the names Belteshazzar, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in Chaldean. They were instructed to consume some of the king's most refined foods and drink some of the finest wine as part of their preparations. According to the rule of the Old Testament, these foods most likely comprised meats that were considered unclean. Alternatively, it's possible that they were associated with the worship of idols. Daniel behaved admirably by declining to consume them. He asked if he and his friends could eat vegetables and drink water instead. Ashpenaz, the leader of the eunuchs, did not comprehend the Jewish rituals or the religion of the Jews. Thus, he was appalled by the concept. He pointed out that his life could be in danger if the plan did not succeed. After all, he was the one who should take responsibility for them. Nevertheless, Daniel's request was approved. After a trial period of 10 days, they presented themselves in front of the king and demonstrated that they were 10 times more capable than all of Babylon's wise men combined. Because of this, the king consented to their presence. God was generous to them and bestowed upon their knowledge, talent, and expertise in all forms of literature and wisdom. Additionally, God granted Daniel understanding in all forms of visions and dreams. The fact that Daniel was captured from his own land and brought into another country to serve there never made Daniel think like a victim. Rather, he saw himself as a man who knew God and had access to answers from him, and one who was knowledgeable because he was an avid learner. This is why he said boldly, "I, Daniel, understand by books." When Nebuchadnezzar had a dream that bothered him, Daniel was the man that brought the solution that saved all the others that worked in the palace. Number 2. The interpretation of Nebuchadnezzar's dream. Nebuchadnezzar had a dream, and he wanted not just an interpretation of the dream, but the contents of the dream itself. This was a significantly more difficult request, not to mention an impossible one. Because his own wise men, the Chaldeans, could not interpret the dream for him or tell him what it meant, King Nebuchadnezzar took the broad decision that all the smart men should be destroyed, including Daniel and his companions. In response to Daniel's prayers, the Lord appeared to him in a vision during the night and explained the dream's contents and how it should be interpreted. Daniel extended his gratitude to the God of heaven by offering a magnificent prayer of praise to him. After that, he traveled to Arioch in an effort to save any more of the wise men of Babylon from being murdered. Daniel was brought before the king by Arioch, and there he disclosed the origin of the information that had been divinely revealed to him. Daniel let it be known that the king had witnessed a huge image that was both magnificent and terrifying. The head of this picture was made of fine gold. The chest and arms were made of silver. The belly and thighs were made of bronze. The legs were made of iron, and the feet were made of iron and clay in equal parts. Nebuchadnezzar stood there and watched as a stone. The image was destroyed when it was cut out without hands, turning into a huge mountain that filled the entire earth. Daniel chapter 2, verses 35 to 48. Then the iron, the clay, the bronze, the silver, and the gold were crushed to pieces all at the same time, and they were like chaff from the summer threshing floors, and the wind carried them away, so that not a trace of them was found. But the stone that struck the statue became a great mountain and filled the entire earth. This was the dream, and now we will tell its interpretation before the king. You, O king, are the King of kings, to whom the God of heaven has given the kingdom, the power, the strength, and the honor. And wherever the sons of mankind live, or the animals of the field, or the birds of the sky, he has handed them over to you, and has made you ruler over them all. You are the head of gold. And after you, another kingdom will arise inferior to you, then another third kingdom of bronze, which will rule over all the earth. Then there will be a fourth kingdom, as strong as iron. Just as iron smashes and crushes everything, so like iron that crushes, it will smash and crush all these things. And in that you saw the feet and toes, partly of potter's clay and partly of iron. It will be a divided kingdom, but it will have within it some of the toughness of iron, since you saw the iron mixed with common clay. And just as the toes of the feet were partly of iron and partly of pottery, so some of the kingdom will be strong, and part of it will be fragile. In that you saw the iron mixed with common clay. They will combine with one another in their descendants, but they will not adhere to one another, just as iron does not combine with pottery. And in the days of those kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom which will never be destroyed, and that kingdom will not be left for another people. It will crush and put an end to all these kingdoms, but it will itself endure forever. Just as you saw that a stone was broken off from the mountain without hands, and that it crushed the iron, the bronze, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great God has made known to the king what will take place in the future. So the dream is certain, and its interpretation is trustworthy. Then King Nebuchadnezzar fell on his face, and paid humble respect to Daniel, and gave orders to present to him an offering and incense. The king responded to Daniel and said, Your God truly is a God of gods and a Lord of kings, and revealer of secrets, since you have been able to reveal this secret. Then the king promoted Daniel, and gave him many great gifts, and he made him ruler over the entire province of Babylon, and chief prefect over all the wise men of Babylon. Daniel's story reminds us that the path of the just should shine brighter, and that God, as long as we stay consistent in our walk with God, He will not stop walking with us or using us to achieve incredible feats for His kingdom.